Welcome, potential investors and buyers. It is I, ProtoMimic. Speaking of the Protomimics, there's a very substantial misconception about them that I simply can't stand. So basically, it is common knowledge that the Protomimics are prototypes that Edwin, wrong image, that Edwin made to test the mimic's features before it came to be. But what if I told you that's a complete lie? The truth is that the Protomimics are not only not prototype versions of the Mimic, unlike the name may imply, in fact they were not made by Edwin at all. If you pay close attention to them, you may notice two things. One, they are aggressive. Two, they are made of scraps. Firstly, we know that the reason why M2 became aggressive was because it learned from Edwin. It would make no sense for the prototypes to also learn from this experience, since they are not some kind of hive mind and would have probably been deactivated at that point. Secondly, if the main objective of the mimic was to learn and even change its shape to fit into certain personas, then it would make no sense for the prototypes to have such inhuman shapes, because we always see the mimic either pretending to be a human or a character that has a human-like shape, the only exception being Big Top and possibly Jackie. So then, what is the origin of these little fellas? One of M2's main gimmicks is that at several points in the story it pretends to be all three members of the Murray family, Edwin, Fiona, and David. However, for this theory we want to focus on Edwin. What did Edwin do? He made the mimic. So logically, what would someone pretending to be Edwin do? Make the mimic. Now obviously these guys aren't perfect, and that's simply because M2 lacks Edwin and Fiona's actual talent and creativity, as AIs tend to lack. However, I think it's pretty interesting that these proto-mimics do have basic intelligence, and I also think this branches off into a bigger theory. So, the proto-mimics. They're sentient. How? They have part of M2's code, but they seem to only do basic stuff like attacking on sight and running away from danger. It's almost like they're dumbed down versions of the mimic. But this extends to the idea that the mimic can take part of its own code and spread it to other beings. Sound familiar? In Help Wanted, we discover that Glitchtrap is some kind of malware that infected the game when Fazbear Entertainment was scanning old Fazbear circuit boards. We also know from a Fnaf interview with Jason Topolsky, who is the co-founder and creative director at Steelwall, that Princess Quest 4's ending was, quote, the end of Glitchtrap. Why would Steelwall just kill off the main antagonist? Because it was never the main antagonist. It wasn't the virus. It was a branch of it. Glitchtrap is not William Afton nor the Mimic. It was a Protomimic. And, Burntrap could be one too if you really want to go that route. But what does this mean for the lore? It means that if Glitchtrap, Burntrap, and who knows who else are all branches of the Mimic, then he may become a much bigger threat than we thought. But that's enough theorizing for today. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and tune in next week where we'll be doing more theorizing, perhaps on the Mimic's motivations, the future of Fnaf as a whole. Who knows? See you then!